the office, I forget how things work. I'm glad to be back in my space and not have to have a chair on top of a bed in makeshift. So let's just get started warming up our bodies, open and closing our joints, our arms and our hands, just getting ready for our movements. We don't want to exercise when our joints are cold. It lends itself to more injury with blood flowing through our joints. We move easier. We're a little bit more mobile when our joints are warm. So it just takes a few minutes to just warm up, get ourselves ready for our Tai Chi. Get my water ready. So we always thinking about body awareness, not just in Tai Chi class, but when we're out and about into the world, you know, every time we take a step, you know, of course, we're not going to be Tai Chi walking in the world. And by that, I mean slowly shifting, stepping heel toe, then shift the weight, step heel toe, shift the weight. We're not going to walk like that in real life. However, we can be conscious of posture as we walk, thinking about that string that kind of not just pulls up through our head to the ceiling, but also a string on the other end of us that pulls down towards the ground. So we have that nice posture, that string that's pulling us tight. So when we do take our steps and we keep that good posture, then we're balancing our weight a little safer. Versus what if we're just like leaning into the movement? If we're leaning, then we're more likely to fall. If we're not conscious of the way we're holding our bodies, then we're more likely to fall. So when we start our Tai Chi movements, we go ahead and set our bodies up in a way that is supportive, opening up that stance a little bit at about shoulder width or hip width apart, and our weight's on both legs. These first three movements we do without leg movements. It's all upper body. So if you find that you get wore out, do these seated, and because it's just upper body movement. And then stand up to do the hip and the knee movements, even if you use a table or a chair to help stabilize you. But if you at least do those hip and knee movements standing, then they'll be more beneficial. That doesn't mean that they're not at all beneficial from a seated position, but you know, you kind of pick and choose, especially if you wear out and can't do the whole thing standing. And of course, with our ankles, we can do those easily seated as well. So I have that good posture, shoulders are relaxed. That, like I said, that string that pulls up and down. We're going to start with our neck, bringing those hands up, palms down towards our chin and chest, push away from our bodies, and then follow with our head all the way down, feeling a little stretch in the back of our neck. Come back up towards our chin and chest, push away, and follow those hands down. I like to inhale. Sorry, my hair's tickling my nose. I like to inhale as I come up and then just exhale whenever I get ready. Main thing is you're practicing breath. You're not holding your breath. Even if you're not fully diaphragmatic breathing, at least you are breathing. Let's do that other neck exercise where we drop one hand to our hip and follow the other hand as we look towards that shoulder. Back to the front, switch hands. You may find one side of your neck is a little more tender than the other. It could be the way you slept. Lots of reasons we get a little stiffness in our neck. But we want to keep that good range of motion, especially for driving. That's when I think about this movement more than anything, is when I'm driving. Do one more on each side. Still practicing that principle of slow, smooth, and continuous. Let's go to our shoulders. Slow circles forward, rolling those shoulders, and then back. Forward. And back. Oh, I'm sorry, I got Miss Eugenia in the waiting room and I didn't even see it. I'm sorry, Miss Eugenia. I'm just now seeing that you were in the waiting room.
Yes, I've been trying to get in, but they would put me in with the other person.
Oh, okay. You know, technology is always a challenge. It's always a challenge. Okay. So now for our spine, we have our ball and we're gonna put our hand that's on top, push it down toward the ground, keeping that soft bend in the elbow. The other hand comes up and pushes up towards the ceiling. So we're stretching that spine. Inhale as you come to the ball, and then exhale as you separate and stretch that spine. Still maintaining that good posture. I really like to practice that breath there. Whenever I inhale at my ball and then exhale as I separate, I feel like I can stretch a little bit more with that exhale. It really goes with that movement. Now let's take our ball for a ride side to side. The hand on top is our leading hand. Switch and come back to the other side. We don't go as far as we can go. We just go a little short distance to warm up that spine. If we were to go too far, then we'd start maybe stretching our spines a little too much or pulling on our knee. But sometimes it feels weird to not go as far as we can go. We feel like, oh, we're cheating ourselves, but that's just not the case in Tai Chi. Just a soft movement side to side. Come back to center. And this is the one where we start using our weight bearing joints. That's when we really want to make sure we have something close by, just in case we need to rely on it for stability, whether it be a chair or a table. Make sure that it does pass the scoot test. If you rely on it for balance and it moves, that can be definitely a fall hazard. So just double check with that. The first thing that we'll do is shift our weight to one leg, and then we'll place our heel forward and our hands back. Paws in the middle and toe back, hands forward. Remember, like that kickstand. Just continue to breathe as you go through that movement. There's no specific time to inhale or exhale. I just did what I told y'all I try not to do, is stay on that one leg. So you have some choices there. You can keep that weight on one leg as you swing, which I think it looks like a leg swing. Move that leg from forward to back, or you can shift from leg to leg, heel, pause, and toe, back to center, shift the weight. So that's the option that I try to remember to do, but the way I learned it was to do it on one side. And so I tend to revert back to the first way I first learned it. So even if you see me staying on one leg, please know that you have permission to always listen to your body and switch back and forth if that's something that's more comfortable for you. I try to remember, but sometimes I just let my body go in autopilot. But those are your two options there. I see, ma'am.
My tablet is showing myself in the large portion. Can I have you in the large portion so I can see your demo better?
Will you touch my picture and see if that helps?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, that's two things, Miss Betty.
You're batting 1,000.
We helped find Miss Betty's video, so we got that, and that was our good thing for today. So we didn't have to do anything else, and now we've fixed this. So that's two things. So maybe tomorrow, if nothing happens, we had one left over from today for a good thing.
Now I see how coordinated you are with your shoes and your top.
I have a meeting tonight for Dugout Club, and so I want them to pay attention to me when I talk. So I wore my brightest shirt.
And your shoes to match.
That's right. I got it together. So that's the message I was sending, is that I have it together. All right. So I can see the benefit of doing that movement both ways. One way, it's very testing of that one leg that has to hold your weight that whole time. That's a major test to see if it's comfortable and strong enough to hold your weight as you move the other. The other way, you're getting to experience more weight transference. And when you slowly do that weight transference, then you're challenging your muscles more and making those muscles stronger in a different way. So either way is right and either way is good. It's just, what do you feel most comfortable doing? So that's the first one for our hips. And of course, the arms are a counterbalance. So if I have my foot back, my hands are forward. And then if I have my foot forward, my hands are back. So that's a counterbalance there. The arms aren't so important. So if you need to skip those for the sake of balance, hold on to something and then do that leg movement. That's what's important of that of this particular movement, because it's a warm up for the hip. Next movement for our hip shifts our weight side to side, and then there's that option to tap the foot out. So you may feel uncomfortable doing that, and that's okay. You can just shift the weight and leave the foot on the floor, or you can lift and tap it out just a little bit and bring it back to about hip width apart. The hands are stacked and go in the direction of the weight shift, and they stay within the frame. So if you see yourself in a mirror or your camera, you can see right here where the end of your body is, that would be your frame. So I see sometimes people go way over here, and that's too far. If I'm way over here, then you can see my body's starting to lean to the left, and that's leaning is going towards falling. So I want to maintain upright posture, shift the weight, stay within my frame. So I'm not going to go way over here. Right here, and then tap that foot out. Bring it back, switch my hands, shift the weight as my hands go to the side, and then tap my toe out if I feel comfortable. Bring it back, shift, tap, bring it back, shift, lift and tap. This really challenges that balance, and that's a good thing. We're making our muscles stronger and kind of seeing where we stand with things. Some days we have good days with balance. Some days we have bad days with balance. Sometimes your head may be clogged up from allergies, and that affects your balance. So it's not always about muscle control. It can be your head swimming. You may have vertigo one day, and that affects balance. So just listen to your body and what its needs are. And know our goal is always not to fall. Those are for our hips. Now for our knees, I have my loose fists down here by my hips. Remember, you can have them up a little higher if you feel more comfortable. We shift the weight, lift. I'm going to tap that toe out and punch the opposite hand. Bring the foot back, shift, lift, tap and punch. Bring it back, shift, lift, tap and punch. So you see we're getting some weight shift here, side to side, lift and punch. If you need to skip this punch and just focus on balance of your legs, that's fine. Continue to breathe, do that breath check, and also posture check as you do these movements. Next, we're going to step forward. So shift the weight, step heel toe, shift to that front foot as you punch the opposite hand, bring it back, and feet side by side. Shift, step, shift and punch, bring it back. Remember that back foot stays flat on the floor. I'm going to turn to the side and show you. It's a small step forward. That back foot stays flat on the floor as I punch. Bring it back. Feet side by side. Shift, step, heel, toe. Shift and punch. Bring it back. Feet side by side. Shift, step, heel, toe. Shift and punch. Bring it back. Side by side. Remember, upright posture. It'd be easy to lean here into that movement, but that would put me towards falling. So keep that upright posture through that movement. Side by side. So those are for our knees. Last is for our ankles. So we shift our weight to one leg and heel, toe, heel, toe. We're rocking that foot. Working on that range of motion of our ankle joint, circulation through our legs. Bring that foot back, shift the weight, heel toe with the other foot, rocking that foot. The more you do these type movements, the more flexible your ankle will become, giving you more mobility and help with balance. Bring that foot back. Now let's shift the weight and go big toe, little toe. So side to side, side to side. It's a little more challenging of a movement. If you're seated, you can sit back in your chair and just circle your ankles one way, clockwise and counterclockwise. Something I like to do if I'm stuck seated for a while is to help my circulation and just move my feet. All right, give yourself a good little shake. Our legs hold our weight a long time through those movements. Get a, oh. My water bottle has lipstick on it. Have you ever worn lipstick and then you drank a bottle and it has like a circle of lipstick around your face? That's what I'm trying not to do. All right. these things that men just don't ever have to worry about. So do you have any questions about our warm-up stretches? Are you feeling very comfortable with those movements and just more knowledgeable of why we do them and how to do them properly?
Yes.
All right. So we do 2 movements from head to toe of our major joints, our neck, shoulders, spine, hips, knees, and ankles. Those are just our major joints, not all of our joints. If you ever get to where maybe your wrists feel a little tight, or maybe you don't feel like you have a really good range of motion of your wrists, this is a movement that comes with the from the PACE program for the Arthritis Foundation. And you put your hands out straight in front of you, and if you pull your hands straight back, keeping the heel of your hands together, you can feel a stretch in your wrist. You feel that? So if you look down, you kind of see a W. You see my W. So if I go out and I come straight back, keeping the heels of your hands together, you can get that stretch in your wrist. So that's just a side exercise. It's outside of Tai Chi, but nonetheless, when we talk about having arthritis in joints, sometimes those wrist joints will get really stiff, and that's a way that you can stretch those wrist joints. With our fingers, here's a movement for our fingers from that PACE program, where we have a soft fist, and then we open up with bend fingers, and then raise our fingers up, and then spread them open. So we close, bend, soft fist, back up, spread. And so that's a helper movement of your hands if you ever start getting some stiffness in your hands. So again, outside of Tai Chi class, but nonetheless helpful for a couple other joints that we have. So let's go to our movement that is commencement. Commencement is a step forward. So when we shift our weight to our right foot, again, I'm doing mirror image. I step left heel toe, shift left, and bring that right foot forward. Now, hopefully mirror image is not an issue for y'all. Whenever I tell you to shift left, step right, well, this is my right foot and that's my left foot, but I'm doing mirror image to y'all. So hopefully that y'all see it in a way that's helpful. So I shift left, I step right, shift. I just did it incorrectly, didn't I? I got myself confused, y'all. So in, let me regroup. Okay. In commencement, it is a step forward, and it is a step forward with your left leg. So you shift right, you step left, you shift left, and bring that right foot forward. I got it right that time. Our hands face each other the whole time. They start out beside us. They come up, and when they come up, we're out. But there is that soft bend, so we're not out, we're out, right? So we come up, down, in, up, out, and back in. Dr. Lamb likes to talk about that ball where you're showing off that ball. Look how beautiful that ball is. They don't want to play with it, so you bring it back, but you want to give them one more chance. So you show it to them again, and they still don't want it, so you bring it back to you. So that's helpful to some people. Get together, the weight shift and the hand movement match. So whenever my hands come down, that's when that weight shift on my right foot goes down. So it shifts to that right foot. After I step left, when I'm going to shift the weight to that left foot, my hands go out. So see, that weight goes forward and my hands are going forward. So I want you to experience the movement of your hands to the movement of your weight. So first we come up, hands come down, shift right. Okay, hands come up, shift right. So you felt that weight shift in the hands. It's almost like the hands brought the weight shift down to that right foot. All right, so let's do it again. Hands come up and down, shift right. Now step left. Bring those hands in and up. Now we're ready to shift to that left foot. Hands go out. Okay, so bring those hands back and the weight to that right foot. Hands go out as I shift to that left foot. Now bring the right foot forward. Hands come back. That puts us ready for that second movement of open and close. So commence, up, down, shift right. Step left, hands come in and up. Shift left as those hands go out. Right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. All right, we're good on that, those movements. Now let's talk about single whip. So we're here. The first single whip goes to the right. So we are going to shift our weight left and step out to the right. When I stepped out right, there's about a 45-degree angle of my foot. And when I stepped out right, I evened my weight to the both of my feet. So I went from my weight being all on my left foot, then I stepped right, and then I evened my weight out. So then that puts me right now at a staggered stance. That's a very stable stance. When I look at pictures, I'll pull out pictures of stable stance. And my daughter is a base in cheerleading. And whenever she's throwing somebody up in the air, she gets in this position right here to receive them as they come down. That's that staggered stance. That's a stable position. So when they come down, she can absorb their weight and not fall. If she were standing here with her feet close together and her knees locked, here, whenever they came down, she's more likely to fall. So right here is a stable stance. I see it when I see wrestlers. If they're going to wrestle somebody, they get ready like this, staggered stance. So that tells you that's a very stable stance. And that's what we get into whenever we do that single whip. Shift left, step right, adjust the weight. And so when I say adjust the weight, that means about 50-50. You may feel a little more weight on that back foot. I think I probably keep a little more weight to my back foot, but it's about 50-50. Whenever we learn Tai Chi, we're told 60-40, but that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I don't know how to take, oh my gosh, I just stepped on a bug. Oh gosh. I felt it crunch. Oh, sorry. That was a beetle, and it was really had a hard shell. Okay. Oh. Okay. Regroup. So when we're taught Tai Chi, we're taught 60-40, and that doesn't mean anything to me. But if I tell you to even out your weight, to adjust that weight, my armpits are sweating now. So your weight is on both of your feet. So you're not just sitting here with that foot out there. You have that weight adjusted. Shift left, step out right, adjust the weight. Our hands are here, and because we just got finished with open and close, we're gonna push those hands out, turn the hands, and then separate. Our eyes are gonna follow that left hand. So even though our eyes are following that left hand, we're continuing to move both hands out. We don't want to forget about this hand just because it's out of sight, out of mind. So we're here at open and close. Shift left, step out right, push, turn, separate, following that left hand. How is that? Single whip. So let's add it to, apparently beetles have an odd smell when you step on them and kill, because now this room smells weird. Hopefully it's not poisonous. If I fall over and die, call 911 and tell them it was a black beetle. It's in the trash can. All right, let me get serious. From the top and commence. Up, down, shift the weight. Step, bring our hands in, up, shift left, bring that right foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift left, step right, push, turn, separate, eyes following that left hand, opening both hands. That's single whip. Next is waving hands and clouds. I'm going to move over this closer to this table so I can have this space. So after I finish with waving or that single whip, I'm going to do waving hands and clouds. And to get me to get started there, I'm going to shift left, bring my right foot back, and my hands will come down. So that some people will leave their left hand up, the one that they were looking at, and that's okay. You can leave it here as you bring this hand back and this foot back, or hand down and the foot back. But what's getting ready to happen is your left hand is going to come down when you step out. So whether you take both hands down at the same time, or if you leave your left hand up and your right hand comes down, either way is right. Either way is correct. I guess when I'm talking about right and left, I shouldn't say right. But either way is correct. Because when I step out with my right foot, my left hand comes down. And my right hand comes up. So let's talk about just the footwork of waving hands and clouds. I'm here at single whip. I step out. If I just stepped out with my right foot, I shift right, I step left. So I'm taking steps to the right side, shift, step, shift. We'll call this a follow step. Shift, step, shift, follow step. So I'm keeping a good stance. My feet aren't too close together. My feet aren't too far apart as I take those steps to the side. shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, and the whole time my body stays upright as I step to the right for our first waving hands and clouds. So I came from single whip here. So I stepped out right, shift right, follow step left, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, and shift, follow step. So that whole time we were stepping to the right, and we did it slowly, smoothly, continuously with the weight shift as we moved to the right. Okay, so if you practice that stepping, your legs are going to get a little tired. If you don't move a whole lot, they may be a little sore, but this is what I call Tai Chi walking to the side. And it's engaging stabilizer muscles, but especially because you're doing it slowly. If you were to speed it up and go, now that engaged different muscle. That was more a use of my thighs to go fast, a more use of my calves to go fast. But when I slow it down, you can feel a whole different set of muscles trying to keep you balanced as you stay slow. So that's why, you know, we think, oh, slow is boring. I'm not doing to myself any good, but you're engaging a whole different set of muscles by slowing down and stepping. To me, waving hands in clouds is one of those great moves that you can pull out and just enjoy the repetition of the movement. You can find the rhythm of the movement. And yes, it's good for your muscles and your balance, but it's good to experience that mental quietness and that internal experience of Tai Chi when you kind of get lost in the rhythm of waving hands in clouds. And so if you're in a space where you can step until you get to the wall, it doesn't matter how many times you step, you don't have to worry about a number, and then wave hands in clouds to the other way until you hit that wall. That's just one of those movements that you can pull out and do by yourself and get benefits from it and not worry about what's next. I had a girl who had extreme anxiety. She was in her 20s, and she would be doing homework and she would find herself get really stressed, and she would stop her homework and start doing waving hands in clouds in her bedroom, and that helped calm her down. So it's not always just about balance. It can be about a little bit of what's going on inside of us too. Now the hand work that goes with waving hands in clouds is so much like our warm up for our spine, where we're holding that ball and we turn, flip, turn, flip, turn. So that movement right there of your torso going side to side, getting a true feeling of this movement helps you do the same thing in waving hands in clouds. Because waving hands in clouds is a torso movement that have a different hand variation, but the hands go along for the ride. Your hands aren't moving, it's your torso that moves. So you come to, trying to think from the start here. All right. So when I stepped out right, my right hand is cross body. My left is down here by my hip. And I'm gonna turn, just like that torso movement. So my hand's here and I turn. Now my right hand comes down, my left hand comes up, and I turn to the left. Switch my hands and turn. Switch, turn, switch, turn. So you can see how it's similar to our spinal warm-up. Our hands are just a little different. It starts off my hands cross my body and I turn and open it up. My hand comes down, hand comes up, and turn. Switch, turn. Switch, turn. Some people like to think about this arm when it gets here to come down like you're slapping a drum. Come down to hit that drum. This one comes up, come across, hit the drum. That may be helpful to you. It may be not. It may not be helpful to you. So as you go side to side, you can get a bit more fluid with your arm movements and not be so here, 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 here. See how sharp that is. But when we very first learn it, we tend to be more sharp with our movements because we're like, okay, what's next? Okay, turn. Okay, this hand comes down, this hand comes up. Okay, turn. Okay, down. Okay, up, turn. So when we first learn it, we're a lot more sharp, but then we go side to side and allow our hand to come down as this one comes up, down and up at the same time, turn, down and up, turn, down and up. So it's a little more fluid, and you'll say, oh, it looks prettier like that. And that's because of that fluid, the fluid movement. So I encourage you, even if it's just sitting down, to do this movement side to side. Sit and breathe, go side to side. There's that repetition of the movement and that soothing just in the repetition of the movement. And that's just the upper body of waving hands and clouds. Now we know the footwork of waving hands and clouds is a step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step. Okay, so when I step with my right foot, that's when I wave to the right. When I step with my left foot, that's when I wave or turn to the left. Step, turn. Step, turn. Step, turn. Step, turn. So whichever foot I step with, I turn in that direction. So that's the pattern of that movement. It's step right, turn right, step left, turn left, step right, turn right, step left, turn left. So you know that's just two parts of that movement. There's also a weight shift. there's a weight shift and there's obviously a switching of your hands. So whenever you step right, wave right, now we have something to do that I hadn't been saying. Shift the weight, step, turn our hand, or switch our hands. Turn, shift, switch, step. So just like many of these movements, there's different ways to do it. I have found that step and switching my hands go good together, to do that at the same time. And then turn happens the same time as I'm shifting my weight. So shift, step and switch, shift and turn. 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 Now let's come back to the middle for open and close. And close it out. So how are you feeling about waving hands in clouds?
Smooth, it's good.
Very good. It is a very challenging movement. And so if you feel awkward doing waving hands in clouds, then that's normal. It's normal to feel awkward. But the different ways I've talked about it today is different ways you can practice it so that you can get more and more smooth with it. So you can start just practicing that step. So no hands, I just have my loose fist as I'm stepping to the right. Step and shift, step, shift, step, shift. I just practice that step, making it smooth and slow as I steps to the right and to the left. Or I can do it seated or standing, practicing that hand movement. Switch. So I'm coming down and up at the same time and immediately starting to turn. So it's nice to practice them separate, and then it's nice to practice them together. And so when you step right, you turn right, step left, turn to the left, step right, turn right, step left, turn left, finding that nice, easy pattern, smoothness of that movement. It's meditating, waving hands in clouds. But remember, it's a turn of the torso, just like our spinal warm-up. So that is our waving hands in clouds. All right, any questions about that? All right, well, next week we're single whip and wave hands in clouds to the left. But let's do it right quick. Well, I say right quick. Let's do it one last time. We don't do anything quick in Tai Chi. Let's do it from the beginning, from commencement to that first waving hands in clouds, ending with open and close. All right, from the top. And commence, up, down and shift. Step, shift, bring that foot forward, hands come back, open and close. Single whip, shift, step, push, turn, separate, following that left hand. Bring those hands down and waving hands in clouds. Step right, wave right. Step left, wave left. Step, turn. Step, turn. Step, turn. Step, turn. To that middle for open and close. And close it out. So as we know, we will single whip and brush knee to the other side, and it's just the same thing, just going the other way. So if you want to practice that this week, practice that, and we'll do that next week as we wave hands in clouds to the left and finish our basic 6 movements. And we want to get to that place where we can do our Tai Chi basic 6 without a lot of talking, where we can just enjoy the movements and experience the internal mental quietness of Tai Chi, where we're really able to just experience that slow, smooth, and continuous. So that's our goal. So to end our class, let's give ourselves a nice fist massage, breaking up any lactic acid that makes us sore. I even punch behind me. That's the biggest muscle we have. That's called a gluteus maximus. So it'll get sore. Now we don't like tension, but we purposely gather and release it. Sometimes just knowing what it feels like makes us recognize that we're holding it. I've gotten better about catching myself and not holding tension in my shoulders. Used to, I'd always find myself holding tension there. And some of it's a mindset. Let's do a big shoulder circle. You know, if you tell yourself, I'm not stressing about things, sometimes that can help you relax muscle. Because stress causes tension, and then tension causes pain. So that's how, if we can try to have a life without a lot of stress, we can have less pain. It's a pain cycle. And we got to stop it somewhere. And then we have our right fist that represents our strength. Our left fingers together represents our friendship. Our thumb bent in represents our humility. So strength, friendship, and humility. And we put those together, and in mutual respect, we say, Namaste.
Namaste.
So thank y'all so much, and y'all have a great week. Let me know if you need anything, and if not, I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks. It was a great class. Enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you. Love y'all.
I hope I get in to start with next week.
All right. I'll make sure I double check that you're not waiting for me.
Okay.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.